Eitan, and I focused my thesis project on high schools. I'd like to tell you about a teacher that I taught. Mr. Carlson is a science teacher at Evanston Township High School. And he's worried about Corey, a sophomore who procrastinated his way through the first semester of chemistry. Corey's recent lab reports were full of errors and mistakes and sloppy work, obviously done at the last minute. Corey has the potential to do better in the class, but Mr. Carlson thinks that he needs to shake his procrastination habit first. After meeting with Corey a few times and observing his working style, Mr. Carlson starts trying some tactics. Eventually, he figures out that by splitting Corey's assignments into smaller chunks and spreading them out with many due dates throughout the week, Corey will start to see the benefit of pacing himself. It's not perfect, but it's progress. All of the teachers I interviewed were proud to tell me about times when they approached a student who's struggling, established a connection with them, and then developed tactics that led to breakthroughs. These tactics can be a really powerful way to help students make progress. In fact, Ethan Feldman, a math teacher at ETHS, told me that the greatest reward that he can receive from teaching,
seeing them be successful. There are students who come into class ready and are going to be successful, and it doesn't matter what I'm going to do, and that's great. But it's the students who aren't necessarily going to be successful, and finding a way for them to change something, or I'm changing something or doing something differently, and I can, see them wanting to do better and putting in the work to do better.
So he values that challenge of approaching students who are struggling and finding ways for them not to struggle anymore. To discover tactics like this requires time, empathy, and persistence. The teachers consider it a central part of their duty as educators. Even so, it would be unreasonable to expect every teacher to make such a strong connection with every one of their students. Time constraints, personality conflicts, language barriers, cultural differences, all of these can get in the way of making connections. But does that mean that they won't develop tactics? Not necessarily. The first thing a teacher will do is reach out to other people in the student's network. This is a stakeholder map that a teacher drew for me. Their understanding of all of the various actors in a student's life. But with so many stakeholders in students' education, parents, coaches, deans, caseworkers, social workers, case managers, all of these people interact in all sorts of different ways, and teachers don't have the time to check with everyone to try to find someone who's already connected with that student. Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for an existing connection to work with. Some teachers told me that they might reach out to a student's past teachers for advice. This sounded promising, but when I showed a list of teachers at ETHS to the teachers at ETHS, I asked them to circle the teachers that they interact with at least once a week. For example, Ethan Feldman, who is right here in the math department, circled all the math teachers and about 5 others outside his department. And so it's, of course, these tactics, I've heard that they are shared within the departments, at department meetings, perhaps in the teacher's lounge. But outside of that, tactics are not shared throughout the school. I think that ETHS needs a better way to collect and share the tactics that teachers discover. After some initial ideation, I came up with several different ideas, and my favorite at the time was an app called School Hacks. The app would periodically prompt you to reflect on each school day, to talk about a battle that you encountered during the day, and a victory that you had during the day, a small victory. Maybe I got Corey to actually Corey finally turned in his assignment on time this week. The app would allow you to link those reflections to the students in your class, the students associated with them. And then the app would prompt you, and it would tell you when another teacher in the school is struggling in the same way, with the same student. It would also tell you when another teacher had a victory, had an actual breakthrough with a student, came up with a tactic, something worked. The idea would be to connect teachers based on common struggles and common goals, rather than on common departments. The idea would be to get the conversation going. Sadly, the response to school hacks was overwhelmingly negative. The first problem was the simple fact that it was an app. Teachers already have too many interfaces to deal with, so it would be wrong to add another. Mr. Chan worried that having an external app would expose the students to privacy risks, that letting that information be shared outside of the school would be dangerous for the student. Mr. Feldman was concerned that in talking about battles and struggles, teachers would say something they might regret, and leave a black mark on the student's record that would travel along with them for years to come. And also he worried that something might leave a black mark on the teacher's record as well, saying that that teacher is too open about saying negative things about their students. Teachers don't want to be negative. They want to really seize the positive moments that happen. And so I went back to the drawing board. And this time I set myself some design constraints. I had to focus on successes, not struggles. It had to be an internal system. And it had to make everything as easy as possible for the teachers. They have too much on their hands already. And so let's talk about the existing system at Evanston Township High School. Right now they use a system called eSchool Plus, which serves 8 million students in the United States, and it collects all of the grades, attendance, disciplinary referrals, fee information, all of this numerical information for the school, shares it with everybody who needs to know. And the most likely system for teachers to actually adopt is one they're already using. So I would like to improve eSchool by expanding the capabilities to capture these positive interactions that already happen. So let me walk you through how Mr. Carlson would use eSchool Plus, if we added success notes. When Mr. Carlson sees Corey's habits start to improve, he opens up the success notes sidebar in eSchool and writes a quick note about his success with Corey. Corey Smith has found a way to stop procrastinating. At the same time, he sees that Mr. Feldman has filled in some things about Melissa Walker, and he goes and clicks on her name, because Mrs. Melissa Walker has been giving Mr. Carlson some trouble. He hasn't been able to establish a good connection with her. He opens up Melissa's profile and sees that both Mr. Feldman and Ms. Toledo have had successful experiences with Melissa, and Mr. Carlson decides to see what they have to share. As the teachers learn more and more about their students and share with each other the tactics that they discover, they will be able to provide more continuous educational support. And by the end of the year, each student's profile will show their history